Max Verstappen's reaction to McLaren's Papaya Rules might be one of the funniest and most brutally honest moments of the 2024 Formula One season. Seeing a driver of Verstappen's caliber take such an unfiltered shot at his rivals is rare, but this incident at the Italian Grand Prix reveals more than just his sharp wit. It's a fascinating look into team dynamics, racing strategy, and the immense pressure that comes with competing in modern Formula One. To fully understand the chaos surrounding McLaren's handling of their two drivers, let's begin with a thought experiment. Imagine you're behind the wheel, pushing 300 kilometers per hour, knowing you have the pace to win. Suddenly, your engineer tells you to hold back and play it safe. Could you do it? Would you willingly let go of a chance for glory because your team asked you to? For some drivers, the answer might be yes. But for others, like Max Verstappen, the answer would be a firm no. This was the exact crossroads McLaren found themselves at during the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. To understand what happened, let's rewind to that fateful day at the iconic Temple of Speed. The atmosphere at Monza was electric, as it always is, with Ferrari's Tifosi draped in red and roaring from the stands. Yet quietly, McLaren had emerged as a genuine contender for the podium. Both Lando Norris and rookie sensation Oscar Piastri had been performing brilliantly, and expectations were high for the team. The race started off tense and chaotic. As the cars flew into the Variante della Raggia chicane on the first lap, Oscar Piastri seized an opening. It was a move straight out of the textbook, bold, aggressive, and perfectly timed. Piastri dove down the inside of his teammate Lando Norris, forcing him to back off. However, this move had unintended consequences. Piastri's aggression left the door wide open for Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who immediately snatched second place. Just like that, McLaren's dream of a 1-2 finish turned into a 1-3, leaving their engineers scrambling to regain control. This was the moment McLaren introduced their now infamous Papaya Rules, a vague and almost comical directive meant to keep their drivers from colliding. The name itself sounded more like a quirky cocktail than a serious racing strategy, but for McLaren, it was an attempt to prevent an explosive situation. Unfortunately, the Papaya Rules didn't work as intended. While Norris and Piastri managed to avoid further clashes on track, the decision left fans, commentators, and even other drivers scratching their heads. What exactly were these rules? Why were they necessary? Couldn't McLaren have simply told their drivers to avoid contact? Most importantly, did this overly cautious approach hold McLaren back from reaching their full potential? A few weeks later, in a Viaplay documentary, Max Verstappen was asked about the Papaya Rules. His reaction? Pure Verstappen gold. Papaya Rules? That's totally useless to me, he said with his trademark smirk. Then came the punchline. If I heard that from my engineer, I'd tell him to shut up immediately. Classic Verstappen. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and brutally honest. But his comments went beyond mere sarcasm. When pressed further, Verstappen elaborated, calling the approach unnecessarily complicated. In his view, the solution was simple. Either let the drivers race freely or impose clear team orders. Trying to do both, Verstappen argued, was a recipe for confusion and chaos. To understand why McLaren resorted to such rules, it's important to look at the broader context of their season. The tension between Norris and Piastri had been brewing for months. On one hand, Lando Norris was McLaren's established star, experienced, determined, and eager to close the gap to Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship. On the other hand, Oscar Piastri was a rookie in name only. Despite his newcomer status, Piastri had proven himself fearless, aggressive, and unwilling to play second fiddle. At Monza, those ambitions clashed head-on. Piastri's daring overtake on Norris sent a clear message. He wasn't going to back down, not even against his own teammate. For McLaren, this presented a serious challenge. How do you allow two highly competitive drivers to push each other while ensuring they don't collide? Their solution, the Papaya Rules, was an attempt to strike that delicate balance. However, as we've seen, the execution left much to be desired. In the aftermath of Monza, debates about McLaren's team dynamics only grew louder. Many fans and pundits questioned whether McLaren should have backed Norris more decisively, given his status as their lead driver. Others argued that Piastri's impressive performances had earned him the right to race without restrictions. Meanwhile, Verstappen's comments added more fuel to the fire, highlighting the challenges of managing two strong personalities within a team. The debate intensified later in the season during the Brazilian GP sprint race. In a moment that underscored the complexities of McLaren's approach, Piastri was instructed to let Norris through. This effectively sacrificed Piastri's chances of victory. To his credit, Piastri complied, showing remarkable maturity and team spirit. However, the incident raised a lingering question. Had McLaren's cautious strategy cost them valuable points, or even wins? For Verstappen, the answer is clear. Having thrived in a fiercely competitive environment, he sees little value in overcomplicating racing. In his eyes, the solution is simple: let the drivers race. While his no-nonsense approach may not work for every team, it's hard to argue with the results he has achieved. Verstappen's straightforward philosophy reflects his confidence, competitiveness, and belief that racing should remain pure and uncomplicated. So, what's the takeaway from all this? For McLaren, the Papaya Rules saga serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overthinking team strategy. For Verstappen, it's yet another chance to showcase his sharp humor and clear stance on racing. And for fans, it's a reminder of why we love Formula One. The sport's drama, rivalries, and high-stakes decisions keep us captivated season after season. But let's end with a question. If you were a team principal, how would you handle two drivers battling for the same piece of track? Would you impose strict rules to maintain order, or would you let them race freely and hope for the best? Verstappen's answer is clear: let them sort it out on track. Yet, as we've seen, the reality is often far more complicated. What's your take?